Hi, I'm Dr. Virginia LeBlanc, also known as Doc V, the Pivot Maestro. Welcome to the Define Your Path podcast for those seeking to define their own path into purposed entrepreneurship. This is a show about transforming perspectives as well as inspiring and motivating you to think without a box by exposing you to global thought leaders, change agents, and legacy builders across industries on exactly how they successfully define their path in life and business to profitability and sustainable wins. At Defining Paths, we operate in truth, transparency, and love to help you navigate the waters of your life and to put you back in business. And the Define Your Path podcast is no different. It all starts in the mind. Will you be the captain or the crew is the question. Today's spotlight, I'm so happy for you all to meet her, is Pamela Sylvan. Let me tell you a little bit about Pamela before we bring her into the spotlight. Pamela is an executive mentor and energy confidence coach who unleashes icons and works with women ready to create at their highest levels. She is a personal branding professional and a past professor of public relations, so she knows what she's doing, folks. She's also a weekly TV show host and an international speaker who has touched thousands of women globally and continues her empowerment work through Spark, an online community initiative for women to connect, collaborate, and recreate their lives anew. She is currently working on her newest book. You guys are going to love this. Stop Lying and Stalling. The subtopic, how to finally get out of your way and empower your purpose and mission. Folks, I am so excited to bring Pamela to you. Welcome, Pamela. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, we are so looking forward to hearing your story, how you faced your fears to love the skin you're in and pivot into pursuing your passion and soul purpose. So on our podcast, we ask two main questions and then we just kind of riff from there. And the first question is, how have you defined your path? And the second, how do you help others define theirs? So Pamela, let's jump right in. The spotlight is yours.
Thank you, Doc. We appreciate that. And, I love these questions. I mean, they're two questions and two powerful questions. It's about excavating, and you're about to excavate me with these two.
Yes, I'm excited.
Defining who I am, that came in a blinding moment, as I think it does for a lot of people. We think we know what our track is and what we're doing. And even if it's not a smooth ride or it doesn't feel good, we somehow stick to things because it's been whispered to us and it's been handed down to us, and we dig through and power through. And I was having trouble with that. I went out, I did all the right things. I grew up well. I was the good girl, went to school, got my education. Then I met the man to marry. I did that. I had a child and bought a house and got a corporate job. I was doing all of the things. Check.
The boxes.
Nothing wrong with that if it was for you to do. But physically, emotionally, spiritually, I ran into trouble. How I started to become ill to the point where I started to steadily run into health issues that took me to the hospital on a regular basis. Now, on my last journey through the ambulance took me on my last journey to the hospital that one special time, the nurse said to me, people that come in with those numbers don't leave. Now, I knew why I was having this issue. I wasn't listening to myself. I wasn't listening to that, we call it that still small voice that we ignore. We dampen down or we bat off because we think that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be listening to that. We have our plans and we're going to dig in and we're going to do this thing. Regardless of how we feel, regardless of what's happening, we're going to dig in. And there are appropriate times in which to dig in and do things. But when it's affecting your happiness and when it's affecting your health, there are issues. And I wasn't paying attention. And not until life put me on my back did I start to listen. And I knew what I was supposed to do. had to leave a relationship that wasn't good for me. This is my primary relationship, my husband, my marital relationship. And although on the outside, it all looked wonderful, I had the house and we had the stuff and all of this, I was miserable. I was physically making myself ill to the point, I suppose at this point, if I hadn't changed things, I would have passed away. That's where I was going with those numbers. So when I was there in the hospital, I said to myself and I said to life that if you allow me to walk out of here, I know what I will do. I will change my life. I didn't have an out-of-body experience or any of those things that you hear, those stories. I just knew in my heart and in my mind what I had to do if I was allowed to survive. And I was obviously allowed to survive. And I left that hospital that weekend. A series of things happened that brought me again to question. You know, sometimes it's like, I'm being over dramatic. I'm being over this. I'm being over that. Maybe I imagined the whole thing. Yeah. And then it was brought up to me again. Right. And a situation was put in front of me that said, you made a vow, follow through. And I did. That weekend, I ended my marriage. I packed up and I left the home. I left really with nothing at that point. And even my poor mother was afraid. You know, what about the silverware, she said. And I said, and I said, you know, as much as I loved all of these things, the only thing of value that I want to leave with is me intact. Yes. Because none of this would matter if I ended up ill for life or worse, passed away. I just wanted me, and I left with me. I packed up 2 bags of clothes and I left. I found a place a couple of years later. As I built my life up, I was teaching, and again, it was time to change. An ice storm came, locked me out of my car for 3 days. And as I was chipping away at my lock on my car, I said, there has to be a better way. Please help me, because you let me lock out of that hospital a couple of years ago. Now isn't time for another serious conversation. And I knew what I wanted, but fear got in the way. Yes. And I was teaching, and teaching is a very secure job, and I was good at it, and I loved it. But I said, you know what? It was time to make another move. And then it came to me. Pack up. I called my students in. They took all of my stuff, and what they left, I sold. I headed to the airport to come across the country alone, no job, a little bit of savings, 2 bags of clothes, and a laptop. Came to a city across the country, didn't know anybody, didn't have a job, didn't even have a home to sleep in, or a pillow, or a cup to drink out of, and I was 50 years old. At a time of life where most women are ready to settle down into their life achievements and their kids or even grandchildren, I walked away with nothing to start over into the unknown. But I knew I had a greater calling on me. Yeah. I just had to believe, and I did. So what did I have in my hands? Well, I had my knowledge, and I had skills, and I knew how to tell stories, and I started a magazine. And the magazine blossomed from there. Then I started a boutique personal branding business and public relations company. And that flourished. And that's how I started to get my name out. And people showed up and opportunities came. And then I knew it was time to start working specifically with a particular type of female. A woman of that age, where I had started my life over at 50 and beyond, who knew that they weren't finished. They had crossed through their messy middle, and they just needed a little bit of guidance and power and energy and belief and some content and some storytelling skills. And someone that knew how to hold that space for them. I had that. My whole life prepared me for that. And that's why I want to tell women, your whole life has been an energy and skill building exercise to take you to one pivotal point in your life to enact and embolden your purpose and your mission. You just have to trust, and you just have to believe.
Pamela, girl, that was a mouthful and so powerful, and you were just flowing. I love it. Messy middle. It was so many diamonds and nuggets in that. I hope the audience picked it up, and definitely they'll be able to go back and listen. But I love that whole messy middle message. So you should write a book, Messy Middle. That should probably be
Yeah.
your next book.
Yes.
But, because it's so true. We all have a messy middle, right? No matter, how old we are. It's a part of life and living. And so many people, and I will say, girl, you feel like a kindred spirit. It was like, is she telling my story? Is she? But, so many of us, we run from that messy middle, or we shrink from it, and we don't hear or call forth or allow that greatness to come out of us. But, leaning into that messy middle and just going for it. And no matter how old you are, what stage in life, whatever boxes you've checked or not checked, I love how you just got rid of the box.
Yes. Yes. Well, but you know what, Virginia, the reason it was easy for me to do that, I believe, was I truly understand that we only have one life to live. This is not practice. I know a lot of people say it in a sort of ubiquitous fashion. Oh yeah, life is short and life is this, but I'm not sure they actually believe it to be true, right? I truly believe they only have so much time left on this planet. And I want to use, even if I live to be 125 years old, if medical science allows that, I don't want to be hustling when I'm 90. Right. And I know at some point the energy in my body will start to lessen and lessen and lessen. I'm no longer 25. I'm almost 60. And I want to make sure that as long as life will allow, as long as this body will hold me up, I want to squeeze as much of it, out of that energy out that I possibly can. And I want women specifically to know that they can do this too.
Yes.
It's in us to do.
Exactly. It's about choosing you and defining your path. I love it. So let's talk about also, pull out of that conversation, what made you leave the corporate environment, or the educational environment? I mean,
the money and the big money
and the big money? Because see, a lot of people get stuck there. They get stuck on that paycheck, that false sense of security, and then we hit times like now, inflation, right? The big scary inflation word. And when you're in those structures, there's nowhere to go. Talk about it a little bit. What?
Well, I believe the stories that I heard growing up as a child. I mean, my mother, bless her soul, she's now gone, but she was a pastor. And I grew up hearing the stories. I grew up hearing the promises. I grew up hearing the vows. I grew up hearing all of these things. And I thought to myself, what if I was to actually take action based on those promises? What would actually happen? If I was to actually move and shake and have my being like I actually believe those stories. Now, this is not meant for everyone to jump out of their job the way Pamela jumped out of her job.
Or Dr.
I jumped out of my job because it wasn't for me. It was making me ill. So I had to trust. Yes, I could have jumped into maybe another job, but if you understand who you are as a person, I knew, and my mother at the time saw, you're not supposed to be on the inside for other people. It's not working. You're making yourself ill. Things are always going wrong for you somehow in that structure. There are people that love their jobs. And please, if you are one of those people, continue to be the best at that position. We need people in positions. We need good people in positions. I left because I knew I had another mission out there. I became the mojo maker. That's my moniker, Pamela Sylvan, the mojo maker. I knew I was there to help women spiral up that energy that we came here with. We've been layered on with scripts, narratives, and stories about who we should be in this world. And for some reason, I knew that that's who I needed to be. And it was scary. I wanted people to take me seriously. Here's this educated woman calling herself the mojo maker. Now, what is this? Right? And I cowered away from it for the longest time because it sounded silly. But when the work starts, and you know how this is, Doc B, because when you start talking and that energy starts to spiral up within you, and when you finish the work, you even have to look at yourself and ask, where did that come from?
Right.
Because we put ourselves out there as conduits for the energy. It's not me alone doing this. I
Yeah.
make myself available. And I felt led all the way through till I'm now on your show.
Girl, look, oh, I love that. And I mean, that's real talk. That's truth and transparency, right? Because so many of us, we wrestle with the whole imposter syndrome, right? And that's why some people, they've heard the call, but they've not moved because they're fearful of that imposter syndrome.
And what other people will think.
What other people will think. And it becomes debilitating. And then they start having these health issues. I was one of them too. And I finally chose me. I was like, Virginia, you need to start practicing what you preach,
Yeah.
Instead of, staying in that false sense of security. But, it's, oh my gosh, you just said so much there. I don't even know where to pick up or where to go with that, Pamela.
Well, let me add something. Let me add something to what you just hit on there about, living in that false sense of security. Years ago, being in a job was a safe bet for most people, including me. I mean, I had a house to take care of. I had a job. But as we go through, those secure positions are less and less and less, paying less money. The cost of living is going up here. How are you going to live the life of your dreams unless you're making mid to high six figures to do that? And if you're making high mid to six figures that someone's paying you, imagine what you can be doing. That means they're paying you a quarter of that. So if you're making 300,000, you could be making $1 million.
Yes. You better speak, Pamela. That is so true. And for those, who are hearing what you're saying and you're inspiring them, I would challenge them even to step out. How about, so let's talk about let's have real talk. Well, we are having real talk, but let's talk about just how we invest, right? We invest money, right? And we diversify, the coaching, the consult there is to diversify your portfolio, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You never know what's going to happen. Why do we do that in our lives? Why do it's that programming conditioning, right? But how do we get out of that box?
Are you specifically referring to how do we not invest in ourselves and in our personal development?
Well, yes, that, but also taking that principle, and just having one stream of income, one line of income. And then when life happens, what you mean. You're just stuck out, right? Whereas when you're investing, you have multiple investment, vehicles.
Well, I think the popular narrative growing up, especially as women, was always a certain thing. You look pretty, you don't say much, you follow that line of femaledom, I call it, mom, wife, you do all of those really wonderful things. We weren't really encouraged to do what the boys were doing, where to stretch ourselves and take risk and all of these things. We weren't really prompted to do those things. So for us, especially as women, we played it safe.
Right.
Even if we had the money and we had the intelligence, we played it safe because we weren't programmed to be the risk takers like the boys, just like girls weren't supposed to be good at math or science, right? Now, who put that in our heads?
Right.
Somebody did, and we believed it, and we act accordingly. So same way with investing in our financial futures, in our education, in our growth and wisdom as we grow older, we don't tend to do that. Why aren't we putting money into coaching and mentoring in all aspects of our lives? Because I know me, I don't know everything. I'm a smart chick. I don't know everything.
Right. Right. But getting to that, it's funny. I just, I was a co-author in a book that just launched, Inspired Living. And one of the things I talked about was adulting revelations. That, what you just said, my friend, is an adulting revelation. You don't have to know everything. You don't know everything. So, just embrace that fear and just be who you are, and
I want to find the things that I want to learn and have some joy around learning and spend time and energy around that subject and or the people and or the people that are teaching that, and learn that well and ask myself if I'm going to self-direct my future education to get to where I want to be in the next 30, 40 years, if I live to that long. What do I want to know? What do I need to know? And I put my time, energy, and money into going in that direction. I mean, as the mojo maker, with what I'm defining my role to be, there are a series of things that I need to invest in knowing. So that's the route I have to go. It's not just here. There's a well-roundedness about what I do that I need to put myself into that I didn't recognize when I started down this path.
You know, and I think we're so ready to invest in the material and, you know, in the world as opposed to ourselves, because, you know, this whole, again, the programming, you know, it's been wrong, you know, and that's why it's so much, you know, why we have so much stress and health issues and just unhappiness and conflict in the world, because people are not happy in and of themselves. They've not looked inward, taken the time to invest in themselves and figure out why they were put here, what their sole purpose is. So I love what you said about just, you know, investing in yourself and your capability, who you are. And there's no competition there, you know, with other people.
And it's not even about guilt or selfishness. I know a lot of people think this too. We would put the money into our children and send them to the best schools and get all this. Why are we doing that? Do it because, yes, you're helping your child or children get a good foot in life. But what about you? When you pass through that messy middle, a lot of women stop. They're lost. They're confused because their mission seems to have come to an end. Their children are gone off, and maybe they've switched their primary relationships, or their parents have passed on, or whatever the situation is. And now what? And not recognizing all of that good stuff. You know how much wisdom we women have. You know how much resiliency we've had to go through and build up that muscle. The information that we hold and don't recognize can create multiple worlds in the solar system if we gave ourselves the chance. And that's one of the things, Doc V, that I'm so passionate about when I'm working with these ladies, is to not shake them awake, because I work with ladies that are ready and they're willing. They do the work, but they're ready to absorb and to surrender to the information, and more importantly, to their energy.
Yes, because you can't force people into the path you want them to be on, or even the path that you might see for them. You know, they have to want it for themselves and really come to that awakening, that revelation, the aha. And
to know themselves. You know, we're on social media so much, and we all of those beautiful memes about authenticity and learning and being yourself. And I'm wondering how many people can actually truly say they know themselves, because what do you really know about yourself other than what people told you needed to know about yourself?
Yes. True.
Right. That's why I used the word excavation earlier on when we started. It really is it becoming your own anthropologist in life to find out who you are. And then if you can't find that, start to choose.
Yes.
It's going to be uncomfortable. Trust me, when I left my people over there and came out here by myself, it wasn't good times. It was scary. I was the only one here that I can see for days that looked like me. Right? I didn't have any friends or connections or contacts or anything that people use to build their life and careers. I didn't have that. But here's what I had. I had a strong belief in my ability. I've proven it many times that I can do things. I knew things. I could think, I can act. I had all my extremities attached still. And from there, I could build. Most people think they need their house and their car and their clothes, and I left all of that. To my mother's horror, I left all of that behind.
Mine too.
So ladies, if you are on the fence, think about this. You've got one shot at this thing called your life. You know, are your good shoes keeping you back?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the thing that's going to hold you back? Because when my mother died 2.5 years ago, and before they closed that box on this woman that loved her things, what I saw was two things. None of that stuff went with her, and she was in there alone. Right? And I said to myself, I'm going to squeeze it all out of life, because at one time, sometime, I too shall pass this way.
Yes.
Right?
Pamela, absolutely brilliant. Girl, like, I'm over here with cold chills. You were dropping so many diamonds. Wisdom. That's what wisdom speaks looks like. I love it, sis. And give you your flowers while you can smell them. And
Yes.
Those are too poignant. Just, that was, when you said that, the example of your mother laying there in a casket by herself, those two things, we don't process that. We know we are born, we all have to die, right? But we don't process the in-between and just how short life is until it happens. So what words of wisdom would you like to leave to our listeners, to our viewers, on navigating the messy middle, or life is short, whatever your heart is? I'm not going to tell you what to say. You speak, please.
Well, ladies, first of all, it's not just you. I mean, we're talking here, and Doc V, you said that we have a similar story, because it's a similar thing. It's very universal, having to choose again, because life changes. Our children grow up and go away. Maybe your relationship didn't work out. Your parents are no longer here. There's so many things that shift. Your health changes. So many things change. You have to keep choosing. You have to keep renewing. As a personal branding expert, it's about recreating oneself. When you hit this point in your life where you come through that point where you're no longer struggling with parents and children and all of these things that we tend to struggle with as women, and you have yourself, you've got yourself back. What happened to that young woman that had those dreams about being this or doing that or going here? Now's the time to go back and open up that box of dreams or goals or visions and revisit, maybe shake one off or dust it off or build a new one. Whatever you have to do, now is the time. Get in a community of people that are there to help you with that and to breathe life and encouragement into you. You don't have to do this by yourself, because it's scary. It's not easy. I won't being honest with you if I say, just go out there and it's all la-di-da. No, it's not la-di-da. But nothing more life enhancing than going on the quest of your life. And this is what this is, a quest.
Yes. Pamela, girl, look, I don't want to let you go. Brilliant, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for being our spotlight today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. This is brilliant. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that yellow on you. It's beautiful.
Thank you, girl. It's one of my colors,
Oh, that's beautiful.
One of my energy colors. Thank you so much, sis. And audience, I want you to be sure to follow Pamela Sylvan on social media. Pam, what's the best way for folks to reach you? Do you want to, is there a
they can just find me, Pamela Sylvan, anywhere they type it. I think I'm the only one on the planet.
Okay.
That's pretty easy. Or just go to my website at PamelaSylvan.com, and you'll be able to follow me from all points there.
Awesome. Awesome. And you'll also be able to read Pamela's bio again, connect with her on our Define Your Path podcast platform. So, girl, you just have me tongue tied. I'm just still processing this conversation. I can't even speak. Thank you, sis, again for being here. Folks, be sure to visit our virtual home at Defining Paths with an SPATHS.online, definingpaths.online, to find out how we might serve you and be of assistance in helping you become your own boss in mind, body, soul, and business. I'm Doc V, the Pivot Maestro, and always your corner woman. Be true to you, folks, and define your path. We'll see you on our next episode. Thanks again, Pam.
Thank you.